I'm Ed Adams, and this is the weekly Genealogy Toolkit, the podcast that helps new genealogists get the most out of their research time and avoid the most common pitfalls. I remember back when MySpace first hit the streets. No one really knew exactly what it was, really. It was kind of like other sites that had previously offered free web pages like GeoCities or Yahoo, but on MySpace it wasn't a free-form canvas on which you could kind of express anything you wanted. It was structured to be really about you, your likes, your interests, your favorite bands, your friends, your family. Of course, MySpace very rapidly got weird and everyone migrated to the new kid on the block, Facebook. Then the world just kind of turned upside down. And instead of your social media being a place to spend a few minutes a week checking up on things, it became the focal point of your entire online activity. And for some people, it kind of became the center focal point of their entire lives. I'm not going to lie. I think that while social media has given us a new way to stay engaged with people who would have otherwise drifted away from us and new ways to stay in touch with family, I can't help but feel that its net impact is negative. In addition to all the time people, myself included, waste on these platforms, I think that maybe some people should drift away and family deserve a better connection to us. But social media is surprisingly powerful as a genealogy tool. Genealogy sites are great at enabling us to kind of stalk the dead, but as you get closer to today, it gets harder to find anything about people, and this is by design. I don't want people out there accessing my vital information or my college records or anything else, really. Unless you're into descendant research, which some people are, that's not really a problem. Within your direct family tree, you usually know plenty about the people closest to you in the tree, so you don't need to look up documentation when you can just lean over on the couch and ask. But what if you're adopted? Or what if your family lost contact with the branch that stayed in your family's nation of origin? It could be useful to find information on people alive today. That's where social media sites really shine. Let's start with the adoption example. If you were adopted, it's near impossible to even get started with your family tree in most jurisdictions, so you have no choice but to go the DNA route. I've talked in other episodes about how to analyze other matches' trees to triangulate your way into your parents, but what if your matches tree is private? Or what if you're looking at GEDmatch matches or family tree DNA matches and there is no tree? You can still make use of these matches, but you need to get off of your genealogy site and go instead to your social media sites. Facebook is great for this. While Facebook has a slew of privacy settings that allow you to really customize how much information you want to be publicly available, surprisingly few people avail themselves of these. So let's say that I match with someone named Teresa Spencer, whose email is auburngirl13@gmail.com. Now, I just pulled that out of thin air, so please don't email Auburn Girl because she'll be real confused. Right off the bat, we have some good information to help us find her. First off, Teresa's a common name, but not that common. It's not Jane or Amy or Sarah. Second, the email would indicate to me that she possibly attended Auburn University in Alabama. That 13 might be a random number, but it also might be the year she graduated or the year she started there. So I hop on Facebook. I prefer the web interface when I'm looking for people because it makes the search options a little easier. I'd probably start by just seeing how many Teresa Spencers there are on Facebook, but I'm guessing there's quite a few. And as I sit here doing kind of a quick scan, it looks like there's at least 20 or 30 with active profiles. I'd go to the filters on the left side of the screen and narrow it down to Teresa Spencers who went to Auburn University, which in this case is actually 0, so that's good. I'm not actually talking about any specific person. But if Auburn Girl were real and had a Facebook account, she would likely show up. You could also narrow down by location instead if she didn't have her school listed in her account, but they don't let you search broadly for, say, Alabama, which would be nice. You have to focus on a city. So now you've found the person who's very likely your DNA match, but what do? Send a friend request and ask her about her family? Not unless you want Teresa to rapidly find all those privacy features. No, you check out her About section in her profile. Some people have their family members on Facebook labeled in the Family tab, So you can go ahead and start building a rudimentary tree right away. But many people only have one or two family members listed, if any. But that doesn't mean that you still can't figure out who their family is. Look for their pictures in their posts, if you have access to them. If they've tagged people in their photos, look at the names of those individuals. If you see a photo that looks like her parents at her graduation and she has her parents tagged, well, there you go. If they aren't tagged, have a look at the comments on that photo. Do you see a woman commenting something like, "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," and her profile picture looks like the woman in the photo of her at the graduation? Well, that very well might be her mom. I'd go check out her Facebook profile as well. Make a list of names who are regular suspects on their Facebook likes and comments. Then look at the friends list and look for all the Spencers on her friends list and jot those names down as well. If you scroll back through her timeline into years past, you might find that while she's an Auburn grad, she's not actually from Auburn, but is instead from Anniston. Do the same thing for each of the names that you've written down, and you'll really start to put together a loose network of likely family members. Now, you can go back to your genealogy site armed with a whole list of names to go looking for in Anniston records. It's worth doing similar work across Instagram, Twitter, or whatever other social media site you can think of, but in my experience, the Facebook platform is really more geared for this kind of work. Wherever you look, you can piece together quite a bit of information if you're being disciplined and methodical about it. Even if you're not adopted, social media can still be a great platform for genealogy. For eons, I was stuck on my wife's Ukrainian family. I knew the names of the family that came over, and I knew the name of the village they came from, but not much else. I'd looked through metrical books and other records available in Ukrainian archive sites, but I couldn't find anything concrete. I could tell I was looking in the right places, I just wasn't finding the people I was looking for. But then, I started looking on social media. First, I looked on predominantly Russian social media sites like VKontakte or VK, because up until the most recent war, there were lots of Ukrainians on Russian social media. I found some people of interest, but I couldn't really piece together as much as I wanted, so on a whim, I decided to look on Facebook. And that's where things started to open up for me. The surname was a little too common for me to just look for that surname in Ukraine, so I actually just searched for the village name. And I found there was a Facebook group page for the village. I looked through the posts on the page, and in particular, I looked at the people who were posting, or commenting and liking the posts. I found one person with the surname that I was interested in. She was well aware of Facebook's privacy settings, though, so I had no choice but to really reach out. After a few suspicion-filled back and forths, she was eventually satisfied that I wasn't a weirdo trying to sell her an extended car warranty, and we started talking about family. Turns out, she's a fairly close relative, and she sent me pictures of my wife's mom and brother that were there in the local village library. She also mailed me a history book about the village, which has absolutely tons of information about the Ukrainian side of the family. So that's a big win for Facebook. But friendly stalking of distant relatives isn't the only useful genealogical task you can get done on social media. There's actually lots of good content you can find as well. You can follow prominent genealogists on Twitter, you can join Facebook groups, and there's lots and lots of short genealogy tutorials available on Instagram. I'm not really sure about TikTok because I've gotten to the point in my life where I just refuse to have another social media account, but I'd suspect, based on the format of the platform, there's probably some good stuff over there as well. Again, over on Facebook, there are so many groups that you can join, you might need to take an appetite suppressant or your Facebook newsfeed is going to end up getting drowned out by all the genealogy. I think location-based groups are really great for helping you research an area that you're unfamiliar with. There's pages for Irish genealogy, Italian genealogy, Alabama genealogy, just about anything you can think of. You don't even really have to participate. You just join the group and then you cruise through all the old posts and learn some really good stuff. There's some groups that are specifically focused on helping adopted genealogists work on their trees, and just about any other subset of the hobby that you can imagine. Over on Twitter, well, that site is honestly kind of a dumpster fire. I know that that's where I have my official social media account for this podcast, and maybe that's a bit of a mistake, I don't know. But there are a few redeemable genealogical things that you can do there. First off, like I said, you can find prominent genealogists and follow them for some really good tips on how to take your skills to the next level. There's also the weekly #Ancestry Hour, which is kind of really more of a UK-based thing, but it's still great to look through. Although I've never really gotten a hold of the whole Instagram thing, there is a lot of really good genealogy content over there. Usually short-form video tutorials. They're kind of like extra condensed versions of what I do here. So, I know I say this a lot, but don't be afraid to get away from your big genealogy site and go follow your leads via some other method. You can do genealogy just about anywhere online, and social media is an excellent place to find cousins and learn more about the craft. So even if you don't really do the whole social media thing yourself, maybe hop over there from time to time just to have a look and familiarize yourself with how each platform works. That way, when you're looking for information on that elusive DNA match, you know where and how to start digging. I hope you found something useful in this today, and if you managed to fill out a little bit more of your family tree by using social media, I'd love to hear about it. At least for now, you can find me on Twitter at the WGT Pod. If you have any thoughts about better platforms to hang my digital shingle on, tell me that too. I'd appreciate it if you'd leave the podcast a review, but as always, either way, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.